We want to dedicate this recording to Monique and to Jacques Koralnik. First of all, celebrating the 10th year of Aliyah, and Be'emet, that your Aliyah, the 10 years should be 20 years, 30 years, la'ad umei olamim, that you should have always nachas and simcha in these years of Aliyah here in Eretz Yisrael. And it's also to commemorate 20 years of the ptira of Monique's father, Todros ben Leima, that Neshama should have an Aliyah began Eden. There's two parshiyot which describe the world not in its ideal conditions, and deals with a lot of pain and suffering and damages, and yet they're very, very different. The one is Parshat Mishpatim, which speaks about all the laws of civil laws of damages, of slavery, of kidnapping, murder, people injuring one another, person's property doing damage. In the case of Parshat Mishpatim, an ox that gores, an ox that damages, an ox that kills, the damages caused by a person lighting a fire and that's burning his neighbor's field, etc. That's Parshat Mishpatim. And the other parasha is Parshat Teizei. Parshat Teizei also speaks about an imperfect world, and also speaks about very painful situations, situations in which a person goes to war and then he captures a woman, and he suddenly has this uncontrollable lust for her. What does he do with it? And then what does he do with this lust? And afterwards, what he does is the next portion speaks about if a person's got a rebellious child, he becomes a young child, he becomes an addict at the age of 13, he has to be put to death. And then the next portion speaks about a person's got two wives, he marries two wives, and he happens to the firstborn of the wife that he doesn't like that much, so he has to see to it that he still gets the first portion, etc., etc. These are the type of laws that are in Parshat Dvarim, in Parshat Teizei. And in fact, this Parshat Teizei speaks about the last mitzvah is to remember what Amalek did to the Jewish people, how he attacked us without any rhyme and reason. We weren't a threat to him, to Amalek, but just when we were going out of Egypt, that he attacked us. I think that what typifies the laws in Parshat Teizei is the laws of, let's call it the theory of chaos. In nature, we know that nature has got certain laws which work with mathematical precision, and then there's a side of nature which is, as we all know, the theory of chaos. The theory of chaos, or the butterfly effect, because a butterfly flapped its wing in the Amazons, that's got repercussions in Europe on what the weather's going to be like. And what the Torah is trying to tell us is that even in this world of chaos, we can bring a certain amount of order, and we bring the order by doing certain mitzvot in a certain way. I'd like to now share with you something which I think is very, very relevant to our times, for also in Eretz Yisrael, and especially in our generation. Amongst all these laws of what I call over here the laws of chaos, the Torah speaks about cross-dressing. When a person is asur for a man to dress up as a woman, and a woman is forbidden to dress as a man. Now, the simple reason for this isur is one of to avoid promiscuity. In other words, a person who's like a transvestite, then it brings about a sexual immorality. That's the straightforward meaning of this law. That this cross-dressing we're not allowed to do. And as you can well imagine, here in Israel, this is a problem. It's a problem also generally about the laws of tzniut, women in the army. I'm not going in that direction. I'm not discussing it now, but I mean, it's vadai that it's connected. The Rambam is unique in that the Rambam says that the reason for this isur of cross-dressing, men dressing as women and women dressing as men, is that it is this was one of the rites, R-I-T-E-S, of the pagans. This was one of the rites of the idolaters. And let's just think a minute. The Rambam is not saying that there isn't a problem of promiscuity, but the Rambam says that an added dimension of this isur of cross-dressing is because this was one of the rites associated, one of the rites and the ways of worship of the pagans. Why? What was the message that the pagans wanted to give their followers in cross-dressing? What's the connection between the two? I'd like to suggest like this, like when you learn about Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Egyptian mythology, what do we know about in the mythology? What do we read? We read about all sorts of creatures which were hybrids, which were a form of crossbreeding. So you had, for example, Pan. You had a person who was, the top of his body was human, and the bottom of his legs were a goat. Then you had a Taurus. You had a person who was, you had a person who had the top of his body was, let's say, a man, and then the other part was like an ox. You had all these crazy combinations of these mythical figures which people worshipped. And what was the message? The message of the pagans was very like, in inverted commas, simple and reprehensible. There is no, according to the pagans, there is no, chas v'chalila, central, intelligent God, creator, who brought the world into being. So how did the world come about? Exactly like in some scientific survey, through a Big Bang. The Big Bang is chaos. There happened to be a bang. It happened to be big. And so this, without this intelligent creator who brought the world into being, so then, because it came about through chaos, so the chaos can bring about different types of combinations. There's no intelligent creator who is directing how these creatures should be. So you can be, because the chaos, you had now an animal part combining with a human part in this way or in that way. And that's the omek, that is the depth of what the Rambam's trying to say. The Rambam was trying to say that the pagans, because they are of Avodah Zarah, because they didn't believe in a central creator that made the world, so they had rights to show that the world was brought into chaos by acting out exactly this way, that you could have a man and he dresses like a woman. And you can have a woman who's got emotions, she's got the biology and she's got the physical anatomy of a woman, but she actually feels like a man. And that not only did they say that that's right, but they promulgated it. They fostered it. They developed it, that this is how it should be, and that there's not only there's nothing wrong with it, but this is that it should be. And I think that in now the 21st century, in our postmodernism society, this is the new this is the paganism. In a society where there's no central true ideology, there's not even that I believe this, but postmodernism says you believe whatever you want. And one person's, as the Palestinian terrorists like to say, well, one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter. Everything is all relative. In such a society, which is postmodern, then there's going to be a development of what the Torah says over here, cross-dressing. Just like there's cross-dressing in a person's mind, So there's going to be cross-dressing in society on the physical, on a physical manifestation. There are going to be people who are exactly that. One day the person's a man, one day is a woman, one day the person is, I'll be whatever I like. One person will say that I'm not a man and I'm not a woman, I'm just leaving it out blank. That's the new paganism. And all this manifestation of this pagan type of society, it's all rooted in the value system of postmodernism. And this is what the Torah addresses over here. The Torah addresses in this world of chaos. Then one of the things that we do is that when we medactic on not this cross-dressing, we try to bring a certain amount of order through the Torah. Hopefully then we're able to counter the paganism. And this is why in this Parsha it's so important that Moshe Rabbeinu emphasized to the Jewish people, you're coming to a world, leaving the desert, you're coming into a world now where there's a culture exactly that, a paganistic culture. And this is what the people do. And this Parsha Teizei is in order to counter this inyan. And this was actually the philosophy of Amalek, that everything's random. That's how the Parsha ends. And we say, no, nothing's random. Everything comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we have emunah that even the natural things that are in the world, it's all direct to by God himself.